Now that we got the ball to randomly appear across the top of the screen, the next thing we need to do, let's see if we can get our ball to drop. So let's start working on that. First, let's look at what our program does right now. When we hit the green flag, you notice the ball randomly goes back and forth across the top. That's not exactly what we wanted to do for this video. Here's what we want to do. We want to randomly position the ball across the top, and then we want it to start falling. In order to do that, we need to rearrange our code a little bit. The first thing we're going to do, we are going to hide the ball. Let's hide the ball. Let's put a forever loop up there. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a clone. If you're not familiar with clones, they're a lot like a copy of your program. And the nice thing is you can create this clone, you can run some code, and then you can delete that clone. So that copy goes away. That's what we want to do. We want to create a clone, and then we want to wait. And I'm going to say wait 4 seconds. Here's what this all does. This right here just says hide the ball right away, then get in a forever loop. Create a clone of myself, then wait 4 seconds. So what this is saying is that every 4 seconds we're going to drop a blue ball. Now we need to pull in when I start as a clone. Drag this in, and here's what we want to do when we start as a clone. First, we want to position the ball somewhere across the top at a random position. Then we want to show the ball. Then we want to get into a loop. We want to repeat until, and what we want to repeat until it is run into the bottom of the screen. How do we know that? When our blue ball is all the way down here, and then you look at your Y position, negative 180. But you want to look at the position of the ball. So once the ball gets down to about less than negative 160, we probably just want it to go away. So we will need a less than in here. And we will need to go back to looks and say, no, we need to go to motion. And when Y position is less than negative 160. So we want to repeat everything in this loop until the Y position is at the bottom. And what do we want to do in this loop? We want to change Y by negative 5. And this is going to make it appear as if the ball is dropping. Well, let's try that. That's what we've got going on. And then another ball appears. And hopefully they'll randomly start appearing at different places across the top. That is all we need to do to get the ball to drop. I'm going to stop that for a second. If we finish and our Y position is less than negative 160, we actually want to just delete this clone. So let's put a delete clone at the bottom. And then let's do another thing. Let's see if we can figure out if it lands in the bucket. How are we going to do that? We need to put an if statement in here. And we are going to look at if we are touching color. And the color that we are interested in touching is this inside color of the bowl. So if we're touching that color, that means that we caught the ball in our bucket. So what do we want to do in that case? We're eventually going to want to delete the clone because that means it can go away. We don't need it anymore. But we're going to want a score that we're going to want to increment. Increment means we're going to add to that score. So we need a data variable, and we're going to call this variable score. At the very beginning of our game, we're going to set score to 0. Once we get in here to touching the red, we're going to change score by 1. Another thing, I'm going to hide bucket speed. I don't care to see it. I'm going to move score up a little bit higher. Now, I'm going to run this. And the game goes pretty slow, but you notice when I catch the blue ball, the score will go up. My bucket doesn't move very fast. But that's what we have. That's how we have our scoring going at this point. What do we want to do next? The next thing that we maybe want to do is, as our score increases, we maybe want to drop the balls and have them drop a little bit faster. So how do we do that? We're going to need another variable. We will call it ball speed. And when we initially start our game, we're going to set the ball speed to -5. And when the ball drops, we're going to change y by ball speed. But every time we catch one of these clones, we are going to change our ball speed by -0.2. And that should mean the ball should start falling a little bit faster. Another thing I'm going to change here, I don't want to wait 4 seconds for a new ball to drop. I only want to wait 2 seconds. Try that. Let's see what happens now. You'll notice the balls are coming. I caught one. It's hard to notice they're falling faster, but they are. My bucket is having troubles catching them. You notice I caught a bunch there. They are starting to fall faster. Anyhow, that is how that works. The next thing that I want to do, I want to change that wait time between when the balls drop. And right now, I'm not actually going to do it. Let's not worry about that right now. Right now, we're just going to stop right there. And yeah, we'll just stop right there. But that's how you get your ball to drop, and that's how you keep track of your score and the ball speed.